Back when $6 million bought you way more.
Hey, everybody, we are talking about the $6 million man as if, hey, you know what? In the future, we may wind up seeing a bionic NFL player, but that's not what we're talking about. We're here
Way
with
down the line.
right way down the line. We're here with Bill Carroll, our esteemed NFL draft expert, our NFL Hall of Fame expert, Vinny Lospinuso, also two newly minted board members. Welcome, gentlemen. And let's talk about the state of the NFL, freeform. Let's start with you, Bill. What is the state of the NFL?
It's funny you should ask. So a mere, not even handful of years ago, half a handful of years ago, there were supposedly millions of people announcing they were going to boycott the NFL. Remember that? Remember that? Remember that, Vinny? They said they were going to boycott the NFL.
Oh, you want to know what's even funnier? Like at that time, I remember some. I'm not going to say their names. Some relatives of mine that wanted to boycott. They wanted to boycott Procter and Gamble. They wanted to boycott Hyundai cars. They wanted to boycott all these things that most people can't live without. And the only one that ended up actually leaving was Papa John's, and we all know how he ended up afterwards. Yikes.
I think we know who won that fight.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
So supposedly there were now these is why you have to check the sources of information when polling's being done.
Absolutely.
But supposedly you at one point had 1 in 3 people saying that they were going to either stop watching entirely or watch less NFL football because of blah, 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 blah. Politics and whatever. And guess what? Nothing. It was a nothing burger. It was the quote, the late, great Clara Peller wears the beef. So the NFL in many ways is stronger than ever before. The Sunday Ticket, of which I have been a customer for many years, has moved from DirecTV, which is why I was a DirecTV customer for many years, and now to YouTube TV, which makes some people happy. If you're a DirecTV customer, you're playing out the string until you can get out from under your contract. But there's the future of the NFL is actually extremely bright. And while there have been some softening in some demographics, most of that can be explained by people watching different ways. So I guess I'm the only person here who's ever worked for Nielsen, right? For AC Nielsen. Okay, so
I think so, yeah.
So I was working for EC Nielsen when they realized that they had a giant hole in their methodology and that they weren't getting enough what they call OT, basically they were late in the game on streaming a little bit. They were a little late to off the mark to account for streaming. So over the top is what they called it. Mm-hmm. And it was, so non-broadcast metrics were off for a while. Nielsen has just began to sort of close that donut hole, according to my friends who still work there. But despite the softening in some key demographics, most of that, like I said, can be explained by people watching alternate ways, including the ever popular illegal streams, which there's no legitimate way of measuring. But I can tell you from, once again, my own independent research, since I didn't have to do this, I had Sunday Ticket, but I know people who don't. And so it's informal because, I didn't want to do a formal poll of people streaming illegally. But I can tell you that, particularly in that 18 to 34 group, I would say of people who live outside of the home market of their favorite team, almost 50% of them probably got their streaming information, their streaming watching of that team that they wanted to watch other than paying for it. I can tell you that. But the older you are, the more likely you are to go ahead and pay for things, which is true of everything in life, but especially football. So younger people, recent college graduates, let's say they go to out of state to go to school, they get a job near where they went to school, but they're a big Patriots fan, but now they're living in Cleveland. Did some of them pay for Sunday Ticket? Of course. Did most of them? No. So that softening in the 18 to 34 demographic, supposedly, I'm almost sure, not every single, but most, the vast majority, I think, can be explained by people streaming, sometimes by streaming that's not being measured by other audience metrics. I'll leave it at that.
Vinny, your thoughts?
I think it makes perfect sense for the NFL to go to YouTube TV for it. I mean, for those that don't know how DirecTV has been faring recently, not good. In fact, AT&T as a whole has been a bit shaky. In fact, that's the same reason why they sold off Warner Brothers to Discovery Channel. And let's say Zaslav's been trying to hack away at. It's not exactly doing good there too. But for DirecTV, it's a whole different ball game. Satellite television has decreased. Box TV has decreased, and streaming has become more and more prevalent. So as a result, AT&T decided to sell off, I think, like 30% of DirecTV. They also decided to take all their other like television assets and put it into the DirecTV line. So they have less of a say in terms of what happens. So yeah, it's been downsizing. Just cable providers in general, it's been hit hard, and DirecTV has been hit really hard. In fact, the last several years of AT&T's, acquisitions have not fared very well, and that's why DirecTV is in the way it is. And the NFL as a whole, like they've been trying to get out of that for a while, especially as they don't have many ties to AT&T. They have more ties to Verizon, if anything. And now that their deal with DirecTV is finally gone, here we are, the age of YouTube, where everyone uses it. Everyone has some sort of deal with Google, and this is going to lead to more and more people having the opportunity to watch NFL games. Whereas before, you would have to be a DirecTV provider, and everyone has FiOS or Comcast or Dish, but everyone uses YouTube. Everyone uses YouTube in one way, shape, or form. So this is a big, big win for Google and for the NFL as a whole, and also for fans.
I couldn't agree more. For me, what the state of the NFL is, I really believe, and you're about to see this. Okay, this to me is this is the state of the NFL right here. I have to pull it up and show it right there. Batman, the first pick, and I'm not going to play the whole interview because it's long, but this is Bryce Young talking.
From Southern California down to a pro NFL
and the
player, man.
state of the NFL to me,
like the emotions that you're feeling, and about your journey.
Yeah, this is. I'm still trying to process it in real time. I apologize, but it was just sort of.
This man is the best in the NFL.
It's a huge
and he's
good to hear your name called. But in reality,
well-spoken, African American,
I was blessed.
Quarterback.
First and foremost, and I was blessed with the support system that I have. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes.
He doesn't look like the kind of guy that's going to beat you up in the back alley.
I could be here forever.
He's not.
Just trying to encompace that entire journey.
He looks like that guy who's never been in a back alley in his life. Is what he looks like.
Yeah,
precisely.
I'm very excited for Bryce Young, and I look at the Panthers as a whole. To me, right now, I know it's early, but right now they're my favorites to win the NFC South. And I also look at how the Panthers are going for its future. I see, they're increasing their growth in Germany. They've also been discussions about renovations for Bank of America Stadium or potentially a new stadium. So I think Bryce Young's success or potentially failure, I'm wishing him the best, but the success of Bryce Young is going to depend a lot on the Panthers' idea of marketing for the German market and also leverage in terms of trying to get the renovations for Bank of America or a new stadium as a whole. So there's not just a football aspect. Bryce Young comes with a big monetary aspect too for the Panthers organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And I asked him this question about right here.
Those barriers down so that we could be where we're at now.
What do you know about a free like?
I missed it. Maybe.
You realized that you were destined for the NFL.
I think it's here.
For me, I've been blessed to have the success that I've had.
I asked him what I asked him about, folks. I asked him how it felt being one of the first of 3 black quarterbacks taken the first 4 rounds, and I don't care how it's downplayed. For all the criticism the league gets for being racist, for all the criticism the country gets, I think that should be major league celebrated because it's a milestone to show everybody how far we've come. And the NFL did it. They let it happen. And they did nothing to stand in the way or anything. And that's just absolutely amazing. And I asked him about that here at the draft.
But honestly, I never really went too far ahead.
I had to break in my
feet on and try to focus on, the presentation, be able to talk to everyone over there. Where it is, but the person he is as well. And regardless of all the football stuff, that's my brother, and to be able to have go through this process with him, along with other teammates that I play with, and us be able to experience this together is surreal.
He's so soft spoken. It's hard, but you get the picture, right?
Definitely.
And then the other face of the NFL for me is this lady I met who sat next to me, is just actually these two young ladies that were sitting behind me.
Hey, Greg, Rena here. Want to show me the problem with the chair? Greg?
They were they're there. Their pair is part of a communications internship. And I've covered the NFL draft for 19 years, and you would turn around and you would be gobsmacked to see a single black female reporter in the room. Right, Bill?
For years, yeah. I mean, eventually, I remember, years ago when we saw people like Josina and others sort of fight their way up the food chain. And when I say fight, I'm using the words very intentionally. It's still a fight for a lot of these women to be taken seriously, but I think it's a fight that is slowly but surely being won.
And then there's this lady I met who's she's actually with the covers the Panthers for.
Going to be Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud.
He actually just went to the green room, so he should be able to.
Oh, okay.
I thought she was an agent at first. Listen to this.
Wait, are you his agent?
No, I cover the Panthers.
Oh, you cover the Panthers. Introduce yourself. She covers the Panthers. What do you
I'm
think?
Sheena Quick.
Oh, you don't know who Sheena Quick is?
Yeah.
Vinny, how do you not know about Sheena Quick? First of all,
I've heard the name.
When we're done with the stream, we'll talk more. She was
I've heard the
a
name before. I mean, I don't know her personally, but I know the name.
She was a track athlete, like Josina Anderson, was a track athlete in college. She went to NC State, and she's a wonderful young lady, and we'll talk about her.
Yeah, no, she sat down next to me, and I was thinking like, okay, and then
yeah, you were
like that, and here, listen to this.
Pass on somebody like Bryce Young.
No, he's plug and play. He's plug and play.
They built that roster for him to be able to just pop right on in there and be successful. He's a winner already. He's won at 5'10". He's been the same size forever, and he's succeeded.
So Dave Tepper's really got it right now.
What's that?
The owner, Dave Tepper. I like Dave a lot.
Dave
wants us to have dancing parties at the NFL annual meeting. But anyway, go ahead.
He's a fun guy.
He looks like
he always
it,
pushes the status quo, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what he came into the league doing with that contract for Matt Rule.
Yes, ma'am.
And so he's just like anybody else. He took his licks, his on-the-job licks. He just had to take them in front of all of us to the tune of like $73 million. So his licks are a lot more expensive, but I think he's learned his lesson. He's letting football.
I mean, she loves the camera. The camera loves her. She knows her football.
yes.
People do the football thing to make the football decision.
And then get this. I gotta fast forward. This was hilarious. This is a spontaneous Jameis Winston plug that came out of her right here. I think it was where was it? It cracked me up. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, right here. Yeah.
I had to ask him.
She was saying the Bears have they can't have everything.
You can't
She said.
have everything.
This is after they got Paris Jackson. They were going down the line. Chicago Bears are eating things up, right?
Oh God.
My Raiders left. I have no team in Oakland. I can't say anything.
Look at her expressions.
You got any space for new Panthers fans?
Oh, I think there are going to be a lot of new Panthers fans after they start renovating themselves out.
Oh. So wait.
Ooh.
What's we're going to do with Derek Carr?
Listen to this.
Derek Carr. I mean, and he's a great person, but like, it isn't like he is about to come in there and change the franchise.
I wanted Jameis to start myself.
I did too. I went there.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I don't think he got the fair shake for real.
No, they treated Mr. Winston. Watch this segment. I know his dad. They treated your son like we know it. We're saying it,
like
right?
He's not a Heisman winner. Like he's not a national champion.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Like he's not a number one.
Thank you. Absolutely.
I'm a
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But by the way, folks, read Go to oaklandnewsnow.com, and on the front you will see my expose officially calling out the Erica Kinsman scenario as a hoax. There. I've got the court, the goods, the statements, everything. It's right there, including the house that she said she didn't have, bought in suburban Miami, Florida. It's still there. Okay? Yeah.
You sound like you got receipts. Longer than CBS?
Say again?
You got receipts longer than CBS? Have you ever been to CBS and you buy 2 items and your receipt is this long?
Yeah.
That's the kind of receipts you're coming with.
Yeah, I have longer. Yeah, she's asking if I have receipts longer than CBS. The answer is yeah, by a country mile. Absolutely.
But as you can tell by my exchange with her, I had a blast.
I could imagine. I had a blast too if I was there.
I had no.
How did you not know Sheena Quick?
Never came across my threads.
You, sir, are missing out. her timeline.
Hey, Vinny, she's in your age bracket, man. Go after her.
You should listen, I'm all up for it. I'm still single and ready to mingle.
So,
yeah,
she's a little older than Vinny, but that's fine. But
hey, listen, I don't mind.
I bet you don't. But if you're not you should follow her. I'm not a big Instagram person, but her Instagram is definitely worth following, and you definitely should follow her on Twitter. But she's awesome.
Yeah, no, I was just like blown. But that's the future of the NFL. You have women, regardless of ethnicity, who really talk confidently about the game and bring a different spin on everything, and that's exciting because and I say it that way because again, 19 years NFL draft press, and you like Julie Bueller had some of that in 2012, but she was like the only person, and now you've got a whole group, and it's really fun, and it's really fun to see them at their work and talk with them and everything else. So I think that's part of the future. Now, the other part of the future I think is on the field, and that has to do with some of these rule changes. What do you guys think about these rule changes?
Bill, I'll let you say that because that's more of your specialty. For me, I mean, I'm more indifferent towards them because my specialty is more so the behind the scenes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL cannot seem to leave well enough alone for whatever reason. And as I've said, somewhat bitterly over the past, I don't know, close to 50 years of my life now, every rule change I've seen since I was about 4 years old.
Hey, guys, put them up right here in case you need we all need to jog our memories and everything. They're right here, Vinny.
Has been to advantage the offense and disadvantage the defense, almost without exception. And so in addition to that, my main contribution by the time I got to high school and college was special teams, L3 on kickoff coverage. And now they've done everything possible to diminish the importance. And I'm a player safety person, so I understand the intent, the heart, the soul behind these moves. But I feel like at least once per game, maybe even more than once per game, but I think I feel like even if it's just to begin each half, they should have a good old-fashioned kickoff, real kickoff.
Yeah. Hey, with that, real quick, let me read the list of real changes proposed by Philadelphia. Permit the use of zero as a jersey number.
Right.
Allow kickers and punters to use any jersey number between 0 and 49 and 90 and 99.
I have no issues with that, though I will admit it will look kind of weird seeing punters and kickers wear numbers beyond the number 19.
Well, it means that Rigoberto Sanchez can go back to his 96 that he wore in college.
Yeah, that's true. And also, I'm happy we finally have zero in the NFL. I mean, Jim Otto wore the 00 back with the Raiders.
That's
and
right.
I say, why can't we have players wear zero? I mean, zero is very popular in the NBA, of course. Zero is a popular number just in general. It gives us another option for players to wear, and I'm down with that. I think it also looks really nice on the jersey.
The proposed by Los Angeles Chargers make the adjustment of the play clock following an instant replay reversal consistent with other timing rules. Well, no duh.
Yeah,
that's what I have no problem with, right? I have no issue with that, and no issue with the allowing specialists to wear it between 40 and 49 and 90 and 99. Like that's why was this a problem in the first place? But yes, I'm fine with those. I am not quite as fine with them practically eliminating the kickoff. Almost, well, not, but
yeah,
almost.
that is a funny one. The next one I love is expand the replay official's jurisdiction to allow for review on failed fourth down attempts. Love it.
Yep, no problem with that.
Then there's change the definition of a launch to leaving one or both feet, and proposed by competition, make the penalty for tripping a personal foul. Finally. Then make the penalty for illegally handing the ball forward consistent with other illegal acts, such as an illegal forward pass. And then make the penalty for illegal punts, drop kicks, or place kicks consistent with other illegal acts, such as illegal.
Finally, they're cracking down on illegal drop kicks. It was finally. That was what was ruining the NFL.
I was demanding that change so much. You could tell from all the vlogs I definitely did.
Absolutely.
I mean, illegal drop kick. Remember that Minnesota game with all the illegal drop kicks that just destroyed their chances to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I'm so glad they finally got to this. This is a top of the echelon kind of problem.
As we know, that's what so many people in Minnesota were demanding, because that would help their chances of getting that also elusive Vince Lombardi trophy.
If you gentlemen like that, you'll make the penalty for illegal punts, drop kicks, or place kicks consistent with other illegal acts such as the illegal forward pass. And if you like that, prevent the offense from benefiting by an extension of the half as a result of their foul.
Right.
And then
that's a loophole that somebody, because Bill Belichick had
he was
that on many an occasion.
Yeah, and then the final one is of those that were approved by the committee. Clarify use of the helmet against an opponent by removing the butt, ram, and spear language and incorporating those actions into impermissible use of the helmet. I like that because you know when something's wrong.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? It's just yeah. And then there's the approved bylaws. Change the claiming period to Monday for players who are waived on the Friday and Saturday of the last week of the regular season, which gives them a week in the rest, I suppose. And then insert strength. I really don't know what that was about, honestly, folks. Maybe one of you do. Insert strength of victory as a second tiebreaker for awarding contracts. So basically, if you're more of the winner, you get the better in a contract. Interesting. I like that. And then what do you guys think about that? So if I have a player and I'm competing against you for one, but if I have a losing record, you win.
I mean, so many people emphasize how much, I think they always mention the Parcells quote where it's you are where your record says you are. I mean, they mention that a lot. I mean, I would incline to agree with that, though I would say in some instances, sometimes losses happen not because of you, and sometimes it's reverse. But I'd say, yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind. It's something that some people do strive for, so I don't mind that personally.
And finally, Bill, did you want to add to that?
There's not a lot to add, but
okay,
to that at least. I mean, keep going, and I'll chime in on one or two other things I think deserve.
And then adjust the rules for postseason signings to account for standard elevation rules. Freeze postseason rosters at 4 p.m. Eastern on the Wednesday following the last week of the regular season. And okay, I don't like the idea of freezing them. I would prefer that you allow them to be adjustable through the playoffs. That's just me.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with that personally.
Yeah. And approve resolutions by Buffalo. Make the regular season and postseason roster transaction deadlines the same. Change the transaction deadline for Saturday night postseason games to 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, and then provide greater clarity as to a player's availability for a game. And then, so are you going to sleep or are you going to be with your wife that day? I don't know. However that works. I don't know. Establish one preseason roster reduction date and related procedures. And so, those are the rules, basically. So, fortunately, they didn't. I think the one rule that I would like for them, to really how do I say it? Get clarity on is chucking. What is a chuck? Because there's illegal chucking. What is that?
The show with Zachary Levi.
Yeah. So it as you know, it goes back to what we call the Mel Blount rule, right? So it used to be that you were allowed to have contact with a wide receiver basically any place on the field, as long as the ball was not in the air. So you could make contact in the old days from the moment the ball was snapped until the ball was in the air, no matter where the receiver was in the field. Then they now have imposed the illegal contact area where you essentially cannot make contact with the receiver until they have passed that 5-yard halo, whatever you want to call it, a free zone, whatever. So it now gives receivers essentially a running start to do their work, and has made playing wide receiver, which I'm not saying it's easy, but it's made it dramatically easier than when, Dub Jones and Dante Lavelli and, Raymond Berry and that bunch were having to apply their trade in the late, but not late yet. Actually, Billy Howden's still alive. Please get this man in the Hall of Fame this year. But a chuck is essentially either this or this, right? So it's implied, though not stated, that it's done with either the fully extended arm with the hands or with a halfway extended arm using the forearm. And it's basically seeking to knock the receiver off stride, right? It is almost impossible to play defensive back nowadays in the NFL because they like scoring. They want people to score. They love when people get mossed and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to make contact with a receiver down the field nowadays, there are some very subtle ways you can do it, but don't do it the way I just demonstrated. What you have to do is know where, first of all, where the referee is, but you make sure that your body is between the official and the receiver. So you have to be in trail position. This can't work if you're defending over the top. Your leverage has to be in trail, have to be underneath. And you have to use your near side arm low on the body of the receiver. Anything up here, they always see. So what you got to do is get a little subtle grab towards the waist, towards the belt, that area, a little subtle grab, slow them just a little bit, and then you use that to sort of pull yourself closer to the receiver. And then 1/1000, by the time you get to 2/1000, your hand needs to get off because these guys are good. People like to complain about officiating, but they're very, very good at what they do. If you hold that for more than 1/1000, right before 2/1000, your hand has to be off and they'll catch you. But the chuck, or the whatever you want to call it, it's just a push basically, but it's a very quick, subtle push. Because if you use anything more than that, right, flag comes out. So you got to use it's basically a nudge using your hands or forearm. And it has to be done like this, like, right? If you do anything more than that, I mean, you get caught sometimes even doing it very quickly. But if you do it at, Kenny Burroughs. Okay. There we go. Taking us back in the way back a little bit. Speedster, Kenny Burroughs. But you have to be very subtle with it. Like I said, they've taken so many things out of the toolkit. We think of all the great bump and run wide receivers of the 60s, corners of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And a few of those guys could probably adjust, but most of those guys would have a lot of trouble playing nowadays because they make you essentially have to. You're allowed a little bit of contact, right? But very little, and you can't use your hands really anymore. You got to lean into them. You can nudge them a little bit, but anything you can't get grabby. It's like your first date with a Catholic girl.
Next question. Say what?
Catholic girl.
Moving along. You gotta explain it to me later. But okay. Will this be the year of the running back, or did the Atlanta Falcons go in a direction that nobody else is going, and therefore will either bludgeon everybody with their running game or go nowhere with a running game that doesn't work well, and a pass game that's like not well coached? My argument.
Well, that's an interesting question. Like, it was even by the year of the running back. I mean, the year of the running back was probably like 1959. I mean, no offense. Like if you're saying that the running game is going to sweep the NFL, I'm going to say no. If you're saying that 2 or 3 teams that are really good at running the football will have success running the football and they'll win games they might not have won otherwise, then the answer might well be yes. but the year of the running back is long gone.
Wow. Vinny, what say you?
I would say that this year is going to be – it will be the year of the running back. I think you're going to see more plays in the running game, but I think it's a big leap to say, and it's a very, very hot take and a very, very bold prediction to say will be the year of the running back. So I would say I think you'll see a bit more of it, but I wouldn't go out of my way to say it will be the year of it.
Now, I'm going to say it'll be the year of the running back of a different type. Between running backs and running quarterbacks, I think we're going to see an explosion. If you think about it, you've got Bryce Young, who can run, but is known as a passer. You got Anthony Richardson, who can really run, right? And my prediction is he will be regarded as a passer come years in or seasons in. You've got C.J. Stroud, who can certainly run and throw, and I think will be the most underrated of them all going in. Then you've got Malik Willis. You've got, of course, the great Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs. You got the great, fantastic, excellent guy who probably missed, getting MVP were it not for Mahomes, and that's, of course, the fantastic Jalen Hurts. And so with all these quarterbacks and then running backs that have been drafted that are great, I don't see Desmond Ridder as a runner, but
well, I mean, I think you're wrong. He ran 4.49 at the
thank you.
He's a terrific athlete.
And so it goes. And so you buttress my argument, right? I think this is going to be the most exciting year for offensive plays featuring running backs and quarterbacks that we've ever seen. I think Bill and I talked about the wing tee. I don't know that we're going to see the wing tee, but I do think that we're going to see variations of formations that feature an option for the quarterback to run and handoff, the classic read option, of course. But I think we're going to see that more often than we've ever before have seen.
Now that I would agree with. As for like we were saying, for pure running back, no. But for running as in general, I could definitely see it. I definitely see the play of the quarterback being emphasis more on, a dual threat of running, like a Jalen Hurts type, of course, a Bryce Young type. You're going to see that more and more.
Hey, shout out to Patrick M. Blackman. Patrick, I haven't seen you in a long time.
For that aspect, yes, I would agree.
Cool. Yeah. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Patrick, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been quite a while. Okay. So predictions. Let's be bold or not. I will say, I'll start with this. Who will win the AFC East? I mean, you can always change these, right? I mean, you're not.
As for my June prediction, I see the Buffalo Bills winning the AFC East. And the reason why is because they still have mostly the same names. However, are we doing wild cards for the AFC after we're done with the division winners, or are we just doing the division winners?
Division, however you wish. It's open-ended. There's no.
I would say that I see the Bills winning the AFC East. I think the Patriots will be the worst team in the division.
Ooh.
Mostly just because the AFC East I see being a really tough division. I think the AFC will be just the stronger conference as a whole. I have the Dolphins just above them for the third place, and then I see the New York Jets just above them for second place. Though I would say, as much as people are really hyping up the Jets, I'm still a little cautious about them because I'm wondering how Aaron Rodgers is going to be doing from Green Bay to New York. But just for now, I have the Jets as one of my 3 wild cards in the AFC, personally.
Bill?
Yeah, I don't know how hot a take this is, but I think that the aforementioned AFC will be the best division in football. I think that every team in the division is above 500. But I agree with Vinny. I think the Patriots at 9-8 are the bottom of that division. And I'm not so sure the Jets are ready to overtake Miami despite the infusion of Aaron Charles Rodgers. I still think Miami is a slightly better team. So I have those two teams flipped, but I still have this might be the Bills' last run at the top of the division, though. I think that they're going to they have some decisions to make, some tough decisions to make pretty soon because of where they are in terms of the contract life of some of their better players. But I think they still get it done this year, and then next year we'll see.
I agree with that.
I'll take the New England Patriots, and the reason why I will is I believe that the New England Patriots have the best brain trust to allow them to form the right game plans to come back and effectively use their personnel. I was about to think, and I thought this early on, not right now, but in the year Miami, right, and even last year. But Mike McDaniels is a good coach, but I don't see him as that innovator that I thought he was, that can come up with a play to cause them to overcome their weaknesses or approaches on offense. So I consider this is his test because now everybody's got a book on what they do. The question is the degree to which he adjusts that book and moves forward. I'm not confident he does that. Okay. I'm not confident. However, the Patriots are great at changing up their book, making adjustments to come back and be formidable yet again. Not necessarily like they were with Brady, but I do think that they'll be a competitor to deal with. I really do.
I will say this when it comes to the Patriots. If they get DeAndre Hopkins, I think we could see them make a real playoff push. I don't think they'd win the division, though, but I definitely think they would overtake the Dolphins in terms of the standings if they get DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay. What about the AFC North?
Billy, I'll let you go.
Oh, okay. Well, this should be quite the dogfight. I think the Bengals take a little bit of a step back.
Yeah.
And I think the Ravens take a little step forward. So I think it's Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, Browns. The Browns will be better than they were last year, but I still think there'll be maybe a game or two under 500, 8-9, 7-10. The Steelers will once again be about a game above 500 and locked into like, look, we didn't have another losing season, and we're picking number 18 or whatever, whatever. Yeah, I know. Just suck. Just go ahead and embrace the suck just once. But
no, they're like the Yankees of the NFL. They're never bad. Like the last time they finished last in division was the late 80s.
Yeah, I was there. I remember. And then, like I said, I think the Ravens are a team. I won't say of destiny. One is I don't really believe in teams of destiny, but watch them to win some games they have no business winning. They've had some things go against them in the past season or two. Watch for some of those things to turn around. Also, Lamar Jackson is about to be back to being MVP Lamar, but about 20% less running and 20% better passing.
I would agree with that as well. I also have the Baltimore Ravens winning the AFC North. I think with the increased confidence that they're giving towards
thank you, Mr. Blackman. $5. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. I like the increased confidence that they're giving to Lamar Jackson. They're wanting to help him out as much as they possibly can. So that's a big thing in their favor. Also, the Bengals I have in second place, but I do see them as a wild card team. It's going to be them and the Ravens fighting for that division up until the end of the season. I don't see them winning the division. I think they will be a wild card though. Pittsburgh Steelers, of course. Same thing with Bill. I see them just being above 500. And the Cleveland Browns, again, just like the AFC East, the AFC North is also pretty tough. So just process of elimination, the Browns are finished in last place. But I do think they will be more competitive.
By the way. So anyway. But anything more, Vinny?
No, that's it. That's all I have to say for the AFC North. What about you, Zennie?
The Browns. Deshaun Watson is going to light up the league. This is going to be Deshaun Watson's year of redemption. All the people that talked about him for the wrong reasons, got into his bedroom business when it didn't exist, lied about him, all this, they're going to be singing his praises. Jersey sales are going to go out the door, internet door, and Deshaun Watson will regain his place, rightful place, as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And with that, you will power a slightly retooled Browns team. I just had the Bengals in my mind for a second.
Don't worry, they're both in the same state. You can get confused.
Right. But he will propel a slightly retooled Browns organization to the playoffs. I'm not prepared to say Super Bowl, but I don't know if everyone has watched his training camp or OTA tape, but woo! Oh, that man is throwing with. I'm causing Bill to pick his teeth. He's getting so nervous about all this.
I'm not so much nervous, but sorry, I just finished eating right before we started doing the show. I probably should have done my little hygiene routine before. Here's what I will say: he does look great.
Anyway,
he does look great throwing the ball in OTAs and camp, but guess what? Everyone does. But here's what I will say: I still think that their balance of run and pass will give people trouble. I just have a few concerns about their ability to close the deal in tough games. Now, you could well be right, and I'd love for you to be right because it's more fun when things are topsy-turvy to me. But
me too.
I'm not ready to buy yet, so I'll be taking a cautiously interested wait and see with the Browns so far.
Yeah, I'm kind of similar here too. The reason why I have them as last is not so much because I see them as the weakest. I actually think they're better than the Steelers. Truthfully,
the roster's better, yes.
I think the Browns are definitely better than the Steelers, but it's more so based on
better roster last year. In fact,
oh yeah, I think just process of coaching is why. But I will say this: if Deshaun Watson shows more of his form when he was with the Texans, I can definitely tell you the Browns are a playoff team. They're definitely a playoff. I can see the AFC North realistically having 3 teams in that division making it.
Yeah, that guy's throwing lights out. I'm like, oh my Lord. Okay, AFC West.
Chiefs. Okay, Kansas City Chiefs winning the division because, come on, they're the base of the Patriots of this era. Chargers I see being like second, and the Broncos I see being a little bit better, but I think they're like a third place team. And again, process of elimination, and also because we don't know about Jimmy Garoppolo's health. That's a big factor, and also because you have Josh McDaniels as the head coach. I think it's obvious to anyone involved that the Las Vegas Raiders are destined to be at the cellar of that division.
Do you see Mark Davis pulling the plug on McDaniels this year?
After this season, I could see it. I don't know about mid-season, though. That'd be a little bit bold. But, hey, stranger things have happened, and whatever happens in Vegas, I guess, stays in Vegas.
Well, unless he runs into another email situation, I think he at least gets one more year. So here's what I will say. The good news is that the Las Vegas Raiders may have a really good shot at Caleb Williams, or Drake May. I'm writing something about those two battling it out for the top spot as the first quarterback off the board next year.
Do you think they go after Jameis Winston and bring him in? There's talk that could happen.
I mean,
I'd be down with that.
It's not impossible, but that wouldn't stop them from drafting, a superstar young quarterback.
Speaking of quarterbacks, is Brady going to come out of the owner's box and start throwing a few passes?
Well, there's 2 reasons why the answer to that is no.
He said so.
One is that, you can look at him now, and you remember that weird, driven, almost neurotic energy he had from ages really 23 to, a little over a year ago. You look at him now, he seems almost at peace. And I'm not saying you can't be a ferocious competitor and be at peace, because we have seen some people pull it off. But so much of what animated him as a competitor was people not believing in him and his own gnawing self-doubts, I believe.
Yeah.
I think he's very satisfied with his current life. And
you're right.
I think he has any desire to play football again.
I think the Chiefs are going to take it. There's no doubt about that. Absolutely. I should bring my mom into these discussions. She really follows sports. That would be a lot of fun, Okay. NFC East. I'll start with this one. Dallas Cowboys surprise everybody. Take the NFC East. Conquer the scourge that is the Philadelphia Eagles, and erase this idea that the Eagles are going to run roughshod over the NFC East and the NFL. That's my bold prediction.
Well, Zenny,
I'm aware of what I'm doing. Okay.
Well, Zenny, I'll tell you that I don't think your prediction is that bold at all, because I actually agree with you in that statement. I also have the Dallas Cowboys win the NFC East. And the reason why is, partially because my 20 plus year history of watching NFC East football. The last time you've had a back-to-back division winner was when the Eagles won it 4 straight years in a row from 01 to 04. Since then, every single year we've had someone else win that division. Sometimes it would be the Cowboys, sometimes it would be the Eagles. A couple times you have the Giants, and a few times you'd have the Redskins / football team / Commanders also take a division crown. So for that reason, partially, and also because, even though I think the Eagles will be strong again, I think the Cowboys would be just a little stronger in the division race. But don't worry, the Eagles will be a wild card team. There's no doubt about it. Giants, I'm a little skeptical on, but I actually think the Commanders might do a little bit better than them this year, because I think the top 2 in the NFC, in my opinion, regardless of seeding, are the Cowboys and the Eagles. Whatever happens, I have the Cowboys just a hair because of how topsy-turvy the NFC East is, but I can easily see the Eagles taking it. What about you, Bill?
What you say, Bill?
My bold prediction is that the Cowboys bring up last place in the NFC.
Whoa!
I only have one bold prediction. I think it's mostly due to injury, though. I think they are ravaged again by injury. I'm not sure what's going on with them, but watching them to lose, 6, 7 to double-digit numbers of games by 4 or 5 key players. And so they're going to end up playing some people they don't think they were going to have to be playing at positions they didn't think they were going to have to play. Also, I do think that it tightens up, right? I think it's tight. I think that they end up, despite even what I just said, still a 7-8 win team. I think that Washington is dramatically improved. I think they're finishing second in the division, and Sam Howell ends up showing people that he probably should have started more last year. But I think he has a real breakout season. And as well as their really talented group of young wide receivers led by Jahan Dotson, who I think has about a 1,279 yard, 11 touchdown kind of season.
Yeah, I guess the Commanders doing good personally. Like the Giants are the only one I'm sort of like on, really.
Yeah, I think Philadelphia is. I think that they're more like an 11-win team than they were like a 13, 14-win team like they were. I think they're more like 11-win 11-win team this year. And then I think the Giants end up right around 500. I mean, obviously you can't go 500 anymore, but 8-9, 9-7.
No, you can. Right. The Commanders just did it last year. They went 8-1.
Right. I guess that's one way of doing it. Right. Exactly.
That's the only way.
And then I
think do it.
And I think Dallas is nipping at their heels, but mostly due, like I said, to being ravaged by injury. The good news is you get to draft earlier, Dallas, and you get positioned for a really good run next year.
NFC North. Bill, take us up. What do you say?
Well, one is I think people are sleeping on the Packers, assuming they're just going to fall off the cliff. That's a well-run organization, people. They're not going to fall off the cliff. They'll take a little bit of a step back, but they're not going to be bad. The team I think falls off the cliff is actually the Vikings. I think the Vikings are essentially embracing the rebuild and get out. And this is their last year of really having. I mean, they still have to pay Kirk Cousins. They don't have to pay him as much. The cap hit goes way down after this year to get out from under him. So this is going to be a very different team in 2 years. And then I think that as many people are anticipating, the Lions will be dramatically better, probably a 10-win team. The Bears will be better. This is going to be a team. Everybody's going to be bunched up here, except for the Vikings, who I think will be like 5-12. But except for the Vikings, who I think fall off the cliff, everybody else is going to be bunched around. Once again, that 8-10, which is what the NFL wants, right? Every parity. Everybody's going to be around.
I like it too, personally.
8-10. And I won't be shocked at all if the Lions win it. I won't be shocked at all. I think they finish second, though. But I won't be shocked one iota if they win it. I think the Bears will be right in there. I think the Packers might still but like a tiebreaker. I think they're tied in raw record with Detroit Lions. I think the Lions and Packers end up both going like 10-7, and maybe it's like head to head or point differential or something that decides it.
Okay, for me, I have the Detroit Lions win this division. Simple enough. Like I thought that, based on what they had last year, this was a team that was geared up, ready for the playoffs, even though their chances were dashed in Week 18.
Right.
I think they're definitely going to win that division, in my personal opinion. Vikings, I think, will definitely take a step back. They made the playoffs. They won their division 13-4, but they also have a negative point differential, which is very, very strange. You could argue they are probably the worst 13-win team in NFL history. Well, I'm not going off of anything, but their defense was absolutely atrocious throughout the entire season. And I don't know how. I think this is like the last year of Kirk Cousins, even though I thought he had a decent season last year. And, Justin Jefferson won Offensive Player of the Year. He's great. But the Vikings, I think, will be like a third or fourth place team. Packers, I would not sleep on. Again, it's a team that was one win away from going to the playoffs yet again. And for the Bears, they got some draft picks from the Panthers. I think Justin Fields is going to take that next step, and he looks so fun to watch last year. I see the Bears finishing. I'm going to go a bold prediction. I have the Bears finishing second in that division. I have the Chicago Bears finishing second in the NFC North, and I have the Packers at 4, but I see them losing the tiebreaker to the Vikings. So I see it Lions, Bears, Vikings, Packers. The Lions are the only team making the playoffs in that division, but the Bears, I think, will be a second place team in that division.
I'm going to say the Packers win the division because I think they have the better coached squad. I think they have the best coaching staff. I'm not high on the Lions because I don't think the Lions have a great coaching staff. I don't think they pay attention to detail in the way they need to take them over the hump. The Chicago Bears will have a better year with a better Justin Fields, but their defense and that scheme that they produce has too many bubble areas susceptible to the run. They haven't fixed it, and they're not going to fix it this year. So as much as I want to pick the Bears and say, yeah, they're going to win it, I can't. And so people are going to blame Fields for things that aren't his fault when it's really the defense. You heard it here, folks. Okay. Max Eberflus needs to fix that defense and that predilection to have his linebackers way off the line of scrimmage in these gigantic bubble areas that just annoy the blankety blank out of me.
He has a defensive mind. You would hope he would, but strange.
Mindless?
Oh, sorry. No. He has a defensive mind. He's the defensive coordinator from the Colts.
Yeah.
But you would think that he would improve on it, but hasn't been the case so far. So it's not exactly the best look for Eberflus. But
I wasn't impressed with them with the Colts because their running game had the same problem he brought over to the Bears.
Yeah.
Hey, did they have great pass rush? Yes. Did they train and draft defensive linemen who were fantastic at executing stunts? Best in the NFL, arguably. But hey, you got to stop the run too, and you have to have the right team. You got to be able to put your people in the right place to do it. You don't put a scheme in that handicaps your linebackers' ability to tackle by having it so far back. They may as well be in a California. So I'm just not sold on the Bears from a schematic reason at all.
That's a fair point, and I think you actually changed my mind a little bit. I actually now have the Packers above the Bears in terms of the standings, simply because the more you think about it, their coaching, their defense, I can definitely see it.
Vinny, what do you say? NFC West. I got to work on this out of here.
Wait, did we talk about the AFC? Did we talk about the AFC South?
We did not.
We forgot about the AFC South. I just noticed.
Well, let's do this. Then we'll go back to the AFC South. How's that?
Yeah, we're forgetting the Southern. Don't worry. Both NFC West.
Not to mention the NFC South, but I get there.
Yeah,
too.
both Southern divisions. We'll get to that. Don't worry. The NFC West. Well, not the Cardinals, that's for sure. I can tell you that. They're definitely going to finish last in that division. I don't think anyone is debating that. I don't care for the new uniforms either. I would say, I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. I thought, definitely. I think Geno has shown he's reminding me a little bit of Rich Gannon in a way. Like this journeyman backup kind of stopgap starter guy, now in the role as the unquestioned starter, had a great season last year. I think that Seahawks offense will improve, and I think their defense will also improve, and I see them taking the NFC West crown. Don't worry, 49ers fans. You will also be a wild card team. I don't know if it'll be Trey Lance. I don't know if it's going to be Sam Darnold. but I think they'll still be a playoff team. And as for the Rams, I could see them maybe competing for it, but like, you traded away Jalen Ramsey. You're kind of in the mood of almost blowing up. Stafford's not getting any younger. He didn't look good at all last year. We gotta see how Cup's gonna do. Like, I see the Seahawks win that division. Niners get a wild card spot. Rams continue to be in that area where they're not good, and the Cardinals are absolutely atrocious.
Yeah. So I recently did a 32 teams and 32 32 days segment on the Cardinals. The Cardinals are.
Thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
My pleasure. And your Raiders are the next team on my docket, so I'll get to those later today. It'll be up in the morning. But the Cardinals and the Raiders are battling it out, I think, to who might be drafting first overall. Ooh. I think those two teams have some structural, cultural, and financial baggage to work through. Because some of their best players are on the backsides of their careers. There's a lot of things going on there dynamics-wise that you want to change. You would like to get younger and cheaper, both those teams. And I think they will both do it by unloading some of their talent via trade or cutting some of it. So you're going to see, once again, in both cases, very different teams soon. So, yes, everyone agrees. The Cardinals, if the Cardinals win 4 games this year, I'll be somewhat pleasantly surprised. No,
they won 4 games last year. They could easily do it again. And here's another thing I should mention.
Fewer games this year.
Here's another thing I should mention for the Cardinals. The NFL made a rule in which, not every team needs to have at least one nationally televised primetime game, which means this year, 30 out of 32 teams, 28 out of the 32 teams have a night game. The 4 that don't are the Colts and Falcons, who already have a primetime game with their games in London and Frankfurt, respectively. But the 2 teams that don't have anything are the Arizona Cardinals and the Houston Texans. That should tell you all you need to know. Cardinals are going to be atrocious. But who do you see doing better than the Cardinals?
Everyone, obviously. I think maybe everyone in football might be better than the Cardinals.
That's also might be true.
Yeah, I think they have a legitimate chance to be like a 3 or 2 win team this year. So they might be able to edge out the Raiders in the Caleb Williams / Drake May sweepstakes. And then above them, I agree with you, the Rams are probably 1 year away from also having to etch a sketch it and redraw. They also have a bunch of their best players on very much the back side of their careers. They have essentially a 2-tiered roster of really expensive old guys and super cheap young guys. And they want to close that gap. Find some middle career guys that aren't too expensive and then get rid of a lot of the old, but it's going to take a year to do. So they're a year away from in Los Angeles. And I'm going to – I think the 49ers end up with the same record.
That was 13-4. That was
right. No, not the same record as they had last year, but the same record as I think there's a tie at the top, at least in terms of actual record, between the 49ers and Seattle Seahawks. But I think the Seahawks may end up winning the season series and win that way. But I think they both have like 12-5 kind of records.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll close this segment out in the interest of time. I'll just simply say if Brock Purdy starts for the Niners, it's the Niners. If not, Seahawks. That's my prediction. Now, moving to the AFC South. Bill, what do you have?
This is the reverse of what we said, where a bunch of like teams are like over 500, maybe one under 500. This is going to be the reverse, where everybody's under 500 except one. And I've been going back and forth with myself about who ends up at least getting over 500. Every time I look, it's someone different. Well, let's see. I think Tampa Bay obviously is in
AFC South. AFC South, Bill.
Oh, AFC South. Sorry. I heard NFC. Okay. The AFC South. Okay. Well, then it's a little more defined, a little more clear, a little more clarity. The Jaguars are just, I think, are starting to distance themselves from the rest of their competition. So there's division where you might only see one. I think we only see one playoff team, while the other teams are sort of, finding themselves, like that sophomore year of college, where you first try, psilocybin mushrooms and you backpack across Europe. So you're going to see.
I never did those things.
Oh, neither did I. I was in ROTC. I couldn't.
Me neither.
But you look like you could have.
The hair?
Right? Boost!
We're getting back to football. I think the Jaguars sort of distance themselves from the pack. I think the Titans is their last year as currently constructed. I think they also are 1 year away from, right, and looking very different. I think the Colts are bringing up, well, not quite the rear. I think they fight their way into a scrappy third place finish.
Scrappy third place
finish.
Scrappy third place.
Yeah, I think they fight their way to a scrappy. And the Texans are still that broad back, strong team that can hold up an entire division. But I think they are better this year than last year by at least one, maybe 2 wins.
All right.
2. I'm saying 2 wins more better.
Vinny, what say you?
I see the Jaguars as the clear-cut favorite to win the division this year. Like, there's not even close. The Titans are similar to the Rams in the case, like Bill said,
1 year away.
this is going to be the last year of Tannehill, no doubt, I think.
Probably the last year of Derrick Henry, too.
Yeah, Henry as well. Could also be the last year of Mike Vrabel if things don't end up pretty well. It could be the last year for a lot of people, not just the players, the coaching staff, too. Might also be it's the Titans. I think they're going to finish in second, but a very distant second. And as for who's going to be worse between the Colts and the Texans I have a tad more faith in, because I like DeMeco Ryans. I'm interested to see how DJ Stroud is, and Will Anderson as well. They also took, so because of the young talent alone on the Texans, but I have them just above the Colts. But don't say about Anthony Richardson. I think he'll be exciting to watch too. So I guess whoever wins the season series
Phil, you want to help you fish in your mouth there? What are you doing?
Whoever wins the season series between those two wins third place in the very bad division. But Jaguars are going to win that division. And I don't see any wild cards. The wild cards I only see coming from second in the West, second in the East, and second in the North. If the Browns get a bit better, or they would be the third instead of like the Chargers.
Them's fighting birds. AR-15, the school's gold. What?
Austin Reeves.
He says he's a linebacker. The Texans will win the AFC South. Period.
Whoa, Texans. That's hey.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Why do you see the Texans win the division?
Wow, that is
because
bold.
I believe they have the better coaching staff. I think they have an exciting young group of players, and they're a total wild card. You have no idea what they're going to do. They come from a pointless coaching staff philosophy. Mike Ryans with the Niners. I'm excited beyond measure to see them unleash themselves on the league. I think it's going to be glorious.
Yeah,
I would agree with you. If I didn't think their offensive line was terrible. But
that's the downside of
you
it.
can scheme around that, though. That assumes a certain play calling. NFC South. I will go with this one. Saints come marching in. They win the division. What say the rest of you guys?
I have the Carolina Panthers winning that division in the NFC South. Granted, this is a division like I see being like 9-8. I see the Panthers going 9-8 and winning that division and getting obliterated by the Eagles in the wild card round, or the Cowboys, depending on who it is. Whoever finishes, I see them getting obliterated by whoever they face in the wild card round. As for why I see the Panthers, this is a team that fought very, very hard to finish the season. They were a win away from potentially winning the NFC South despite being horrible the first half of the season. I like Frank Reich. I would like to see how he's going to be molding Bryce Young. I think also Andy Dalton there as a backup guy also is pretty good for him. I also like the addition of Miles Sanders. I thought their defense was also really good. So, yeah, I think the Panthers as a whole, I think, are the best team in that division. The Saints, though, I see them as a second-place team in that division. I do like Derek Carr, time with the Raiders. I think they're going to be a competitive team. I don't know if they'll be a team that wins the division. If the NFC is as weak as it could be, they could be a sneaky 7th seed, potentially. I could very well see that. As for who finishes 3rd, I'm really fighting between the Buccaneers and the Falcons. So it's like, if the Braves and Rays meet in the World Series, whoever wins that, if the Braves were to win, Falcons I see as 3rd. If the Rays win, I see the Buccaneers in 3rd. I think it's a 2-team between the Saints and the Panthers, and I think, you know what? I'm going to go with the Falcons as a very, very close 3rd place because I have questions about the quarterback position for the Buccaneers, and I think they remind me of a meme stock. For those that don't know, when GameStop really got shot up because they put a lot in and then it crashed down afterwards. That's what the Buccaneers have been like under Tom Brady. They're that quick little couple years where they won the Super Bowl. They were very close to going back to another NFC Championship game. Their final year, they won the division with a losing record, and Brady's final game, they got destroyed by the Cowboys. That's what the Buccaneers are, and I think they're going to finish in last in that division as a result.
Okay, Bill, also we're about 5 minutes overtime. So, Bill.
Oh, okay, well, I agree with Vinny and most of what he just said. Tampa Bay is in the midst of a unpleasant rebuild, and they finished dead last in that division. I think in the Falcons this year, you're going to see a lot of what you saw in Detroit last year. A team that is much more competitive, is in every game, still lose a lot of them, but look better, look more competitive. And I do think they finished 3rd, but I think they finished 3rd, chomping like right behind who was 2nd. And I think I have the Panthers 2nd, and I'm going to actually agree finally with Zenny. I think that the Saints are still the class of the NFC South, but the NFC South is still a division you win by going like 10-7, 9-8. So that's another of those divisions where only one team I think has a winning record.
Yeah, like I said, if the Saints still win the division, I think they would be a wild card team. I think that because I think it's going to come down to those 2 teams.
Gentlemen, we're going to do this weekly. We're going to hold it to a hard stop for an hour. We're a little bit over, but that'll make it. Folks, stick around in the background, the backstage. Everyone, Patrick and Blackman, thank you for the 5 bomb, as they call it, $5 contribution. Thank you all, everybody. We're going to make this a regular thing so we can do sort of a state of the NFL, a check-in, an update, and we'll have dates for it, all that stuff, fun stuff. All right.
Can't wait.
Subscribe to Zennie62. I know this is going to be we're going to have to keep each other from brawling, This is going to be fun stuff. And we'll have occasional guests, and I'm just kidding. And maybe maybe Nishimo will join us. Who knows?
Hey, maybe. Why not? We'd love to have more people come on and give their views.
That ends this broadcast, folks. We'll see you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hey, how'd you guys like that?